And welcome to the Cardinals Nest here on HBC TV 25, the show devoted exclusively to St. Mary's University and its athletic programs. I'm Dean Beckman, joined by Donnie Netto, the Sports Information Director for the Cardinals. Donnie, a big show again today, a lot of softball and baseball to get to shortly, and later on our interview guest. And you know, we're not supposed to have favorites here on the Cardinals Nest, but I think if we had a favorite student athlete, Jovan Newsum would be right up there, right, from the track and field teams, and he's going to be on today's show.
Yeah, and I spent a little bit of time talking to Jovan before the show, and you know, a great kid. I've known him now for 2.5 years, and the thing that really impresses me with Jovan is just the maturity that he's shown and how he's grown as an individual, and really that's really carried over into his successes, not only in track and field, but also in cross country. He qualified for the Nationals 2 years ago in cross country, and just had a huge win in lacrosse last weekend in the 5,000. So athletically, he's doing a great job, and he's going to be a lot of fun to have on the show.
And Donnie, last weekend, it was a busy weekend up at St. Mary's. On Saturday and Sunday, we had the Jogging for Jack superhero 5K run walk. And we also had a Strikeout for Cancer benefit that Cale Pieczynski, one of the baseball players, put on. And Ricky Palermo will put Cale Pieczynski in our student athlete spotlight a little bit later on here in the program. But Donnie, I know you were one of the people in the athletic department really busy last weekend, especially on Sunday.
Yeah, it was a pretty crazy Sunday. And you know, I think we talked a little bit about it last week, but you look at some of the things that our student athletes are doing outside of the realm of their sport. And last Sunday was a great example with the Strikeout Cancer benefit that Cale put on. And then you look at Jace Pater's Jogging for Jack superhero 5K. What a great turnout for that. Over 300 people turned out to honor Jack and Coach Cassidy and his family. You know, raised over $7,000 for the Cassidy family, and that really just kind of shows the support of this community, not only at St. Mary's but also the Winona community, and you know, a phenomenal turnout, great day for the event, and you know, it's just a really special day, and I know Coach Cassidy was very appreciative of everything that was done on Sunday, and you know, Jack was there, and they had the fire truck there for Jack to sit in, and it was just really an outstanding event, and you know, it just kind of shows you the support that this community can show to St. Mary's and to its employees.
Yeah, spring is a busy time of year, and for over $7,000 to be raised and over 350 people to participate, that is phenomenal. So let's talk baseball now, and the St. Mary's baseball team back on the winning track. They had an impressive Game 1 victory over St. John's on Sunday, and came back with another impressive Game 1 victory against Hamlin on Tuesday.
Yeah, I talked to Coach Winnicky this morning, and you know, the thing that he talked about, because I made the comment, all right, Nick, now you've won the first game in your last 3 conference doubleheaders, and you've lost the second game in all 3 of them. He says, you know what, in this conference, it's so hard to sweep, and you know, he's so right. The conference is very, very balanced this year. St. Thomas certainly is at the top, but from there, everybody is just so equal, and you know, you're getting some great baseball. Tuesday's games up at St. Paul were a perfect example. St. Mary scores 4 runs in the 4th inning to rally from down 3-1. They win that game 5-4, and you know, come back in the second one. They lose 7-6 in 10 innings. So 2 very, very good baseball games, and right now they're playing very good baseball, and I think that, you know, it's a really big week for the Cardinals coming up. And actually, I mean, now with weather and whatnot, every game is big, and every week is going to be full of games. But you know, a good split against a very good Hamlin team, and some individually outstanding performances. Bob continues to amaze me. You know, here's a guy who hasn't played organized baseball in 5 years, and he goes 6 for 8 against Hamlin, 3 for 4 in both games, drives in 5 runs. It's like he's never stopped playing the game, and you know, it's certainly a testament to him and also to Coach Winnicky, you know, in terms of making sure that Bob's doing what he needs to do. But a great start for him. Cale Pieczynski, we just mentioned him, 5 for 6 in Game 2. That's pretty impressive in itself. First time that he in his career has had 5 hits in a game. So a good performance by those two. Pitching has been phenomenal. Ryan Fate, coming out of the bullpen, has done a great job. He pitched 2 innings in relief of Ben Johnson on Tuesday to get the win in Game 1. And then Nathan Mathwig picked up his second save in as many save opportunities. He's got 5 saves on the year, so some great performances out of the bullpen. And in this league, when you have to play so many games in such a short amount of time, it's important to have a lot of arms. And for Ryan and Nathan to be in the back end of their bullpen, that's pretty comforting for Coach Winicky.
You know, with all of the names you mentioned, and they were all very deserving, the one name you didn't mention, I don't think, was Tyler Lurson. He hit a couple of big home runs against St. John's.
Whitey is, he's been swinging a big bat, and, it was really neat to see him perform the way he did on Sunday. He has a home run in his first at-bat against the Johnnies in Game 1, and then he has a grand slam home run in his last at-bat in Game 2. So, a great performance from him. He had 7 RBIs on the day against the Johnnies, and they need that from him. That middle of the lineup with he and Ben Berkeley and Bob Kinney, they need to be able to produce runs, and right now Whitey's, that's what they need him to do, and hopefully he can continue that. He was an all-region performer a year ago, so what he's doing is no surprise, but it's definitely got to continue if they're going to be successful down the run here.
Go back to Cale just a little bit here, because he sort of had, offensively anyway, kind of a rough spring trip down to Florida. But now that conference play has started, he has picked things up at the perfect time.
No question, and I think Cale's another one of those that it shows the versatility of this team. We talked about it early in the year. You've got somebody like Ben Berkeley, who last year was playing in the outfield. This year's at third base. Cale has played left field, and he's also played second base for the Cardinals this year. AJ Redders, who usually is a relief pitcher, has seen some time at first base. So a lot of people are playing in a lot of different positions, and I think once you start to get comfortable, you use the spring trip as kind of a chance to just kind of get going. And then once you come back and you get into the conference season, now you start to feel comfortable. Things start to really kind of gel for you. And I think that's the situation with Cale is he's starting to feel, like he's starting to feel comfortable. He's getting his swing, his timing is getting down. And that ball must have looked like a beach ball in that second game for him to have 5 hits and 6 at-bats.
Yeah, so that senior bat starting to heat up. And one last thing with baseball, Donnie. They're in the middle of the pack right now in the MIAC. How many playoff teams, and are they where they need to be to try to get one of those spots?
They're right where they would like to. I'm sure Coach Winicky'd like a few more wins, but they're right in the hunt. 4 teams get in. Okay. It's a double elimination tournament, so only the top 4 teams in the conference. Right now, St. Thomas is ahead of the pack. The surprise team right now is Carleton. Carleton is unbeaten in conference play after having only won 3 games in their first several games before conference play started. So it's going to be a battle right to the last game of the season, and it always is. I know Coach Winicky spends more time trying to figure out all of the possible scenarios of getting into the playoffs, but that's the way it is every year, just because the conference is so balanced, and I know he'll be looking to Coach Benji Hegel, who loves to do scenarios. Come early May, he'll be back at it, letting Coach Winicky need to know what they need to do.
Right, and softball kind of find itself in the same boat as far as the conference standings are concerned. Middle of the pack, ran into a buzzsaw though this past weekend against St. Thomas.
Yeah, no question. It's hard to you're not gonna pull any punches. St. Thomas is very, very good, and they have been. And I think that right now the Cardinals are where they need to be. They're right in that hunt. They're not going to win the conference title. I mean, St. Thomas and probably St. Kate's are going to be the teams to beat in conference play. But there's a lot that can happen. We've got a game that we beat St. Kate's once. Now you look at you talk about the balance of the season. St. Thomas sweeps us. We split with St. Kate's. St. Kate's splits with St. Thomas. So it's showing that we have the capability to play with anybody in the conference. A lot of games coming up, and some very important ones. Thursday they've got St. Olaf. Then they head to Gustavus on Saturday, and then they've got McAllister at home on Sunday. So in a span of 4 days, they've got 3 doubleheaders. So a lot of big things, a lot of big games to be played. And come next Wednesday, I think you might have a little better picture of where we're sitting in terms of the playoffs. Again, they have 4 teams that get in, so I think that once we get a few more games in hand, they've only played 6 in their conference schedule, so plenty of games to be played. And we'll just see what happens.
Well, and that's the good thing and bad thing, I guess, about baseball and softball is that because of the doubleheaders and they often play back-to-back days. It can change just like that. Right?
Yeah, no question. And like I said, they've got 3 games still to play this week. Then they've got conference doubleheaders next Tuesday and Wednesday. So you're right. There's a lot of softball, a lot of baseball in a short amount of time. So it goes back to the depth of your roster, especially when you look at baseball, the depth of your pitching. And Ashley Betzold has just been a workhorse in the diamond for the for the Cardinal softball team, and she's going to have to be. They're gonna ride her pitching arm as long as they can, and as she goes, the Cardinals are going to go. And the neat thing about Ashley is she's doing it at the plate as well. She's swinging a good bat, hit her first home run of the season against St. Thomas. So she's kind of heating up a little bit, and hopefully they can just continue to roll along. And when we're talking next week, we're talking about a nice lengthy winning streak.
All right, and in tennis, the men's tennis team back on the winning track, a 9-0 win over North Central. The women, on the other hand, they fall a couple of times to St. Olaf and Gustavus, a couple of very good teams.
Yeah, no question. You look at the men; they closed out the non-conference portion of their schedule with a good win over North Central, and then did lose an 8-1 decision to St. Olaf on Saturday. On the women's side, you did mention that we lost to St. Olaf and Gustavus. Olaf was unbeaten in conference play at the time. Gustavus is ranked in the nation and has always been one of the top teams in the conference. So certainly it doesn't say a whole lot negative about losing teams to teams like that. But very good performances from both teams this year, and it's hard to believe as we talk about baseball and softball ramping up. We're talking about the end of the tennis seasons this weekend. We'll have senior day on Sunday against McAllister, and I know Coach Hallberg is going to really be sad to see this senior class leave, especially actually on both sides. You got Kirsten Hoffman on the women's side. She's the lone senior, so she's been around for 3 of the last 4 years, and it's going to be sad to see her go. And on the guys' side, you've got 4 seniors who are graduating, and that's a big chunk of Coach Hallberg's roster. And Colin Kazarowski and Blake Holmscheid, Garen Merritt, and Warren Lawrence, they're all very regulars in the lineup. So when we talk tennis next year, it's going to be a lot of new faces on the roster. So it's going to be sad for those graduating seniors on Sunday, because it's always tough to say goodbye. And I know that Coach Hallberg has a soft spot for this graduating class and what they've accomplished in their 4 years.
Yeah, it's been great. So stay tuned here to the Cardinals Nest. We'll have our interview segment next. Jovan Newsum from the track and field team will be on the Cardinals Nest here on HBC.
Want the latest news on St. Mary's University athletics? Watch the Cardinals Nest on HBC TV 25. Dean Beckman and SMU Sports Information Director Donnie Netto will talk about the past week in Cardinal athletics, highlighting the best in each Cardinal sports team. Player and coach guests will add their stories and insight each week with new shows Thursdays at 5 p.m. and replays Fridays at 6:30 p.m. and Saturdays at 7:30 a.m. on HBC TV 25.
And welcome back to the Cardinals Nest here on HBC TV 25. Dean Beckman along with Donnie Netto, the Sports Information Director for the Cardinals. And joining us now is Jovan Newsum from the track and field team. Jovan is a junior from Glendale Heights, Illinois. And Jovan, a couple of weeks ago, we had on one of your teammates, Jace Pater. Of course, you run both cross country and track and field with Jace. And when he was on, we made him start off by talking about himself. So we'll do the same with you. So tell us a little bit about Glendale Heights, Illinois, and how you got started in cross country and track and field, and then how eventually you found your way to St. Mary's.
Okay, well, in terms of Glendale Heights, Illinois, it's a small town and the suburbs of Chicago.
Okay.
And basically, it's geographically small, but it's a population that's like really huge. I started out at the middle school, Marquardt Middle School in Glendale Heights, starting out running. I was one of the few people to get over the hurdle, so that's where I started out. But then I found out, I'm not really good at this. So next thing you know, I'm in the 800 for my first race ever, and I got second place, and the rest is history.
I want to go back to the hurdles just for a second. Did you knock over too many hurdles or knock over yourself doing it, or a little of both, maybe?
Well, a lot of people were doing it a lot faster than I was. I was taking my sweet patience time. Like, yeah, everyone else was finished. So, I was just, oh man, I got to get over this next one, get over the next one. I was just worried about not falling. So,
Jovi, talk a little bit about coming from high school to college and some of the differences the adjustments that you had to make, both cross country and track and field, in terms of different distances and maybe even expectations of what you could do.
okay, well, starting out senior year of high school, this is my first time doing cross country my senior year of high school. So basically, I'm trying to get the gist of things, how cross country works. I really wasn't into long distance that much. So basically, going out there and performing, I didn't do as well as I wanted to. So going into college, I was contemplating, oh, maybe I should, maybe I should not. But Coach Ward, he was always there for the support. I was hoping to redshirt, but there's no such thing in Division III. So basically, I go in, I'm not trained. I didn't train over the summer. I wasn't even sure if I was going to run anymore. I've been running track, ever since my freshman year of high school. So that's all what I've been knowing is like the 800, the 400, even the mile. So now you jump from 5K, you jump from 3 miles to 8K. It's like a whole different ball game. There's 3 extra K now. It's not like you just go from there to finish. You got like 3 more left. So basically, I just had to work through the motions of things. Freshman year was a good learning curve for me. I learned a lot of what I can do, what I can improve, how my opponents are, what coach recommends me to do. And I worked all that into my sophomore year, and I worked and I worked, and I had Aaron Haley as one of my backbones, as he was there for the support, he was there for the training, along with the rest of the supporting cast. You see Jace and Austin, and we're just there, one huge pack there at camp. We're working hard, we're doing everything we can possibly can to intensify and make our practices efficient for our competition. So going into sophomore year, I didn't know what to expect, and I had a pretty good couple of races. I got pretty good times and marks, and then eventually that led to conference. Got honorable mention there. Moved into regionals. It was a cold day that regional afternoon, and got all regions. And me and Coach Ward, we were like, oh, maybe not. But eventually, St. Thomas got in. I got in as well for nationals. And wow, it was an incredible ride. It was an incredible journey. Not only that, I got into track the next season around. Indoors starting up. Had a pretty good 3K season or 3K race, going into it. And the season, I like to say the indoor season was just knowing where I'm at. Like, I got a little bit too confident, got a little bit too anxious, and I made some mistakes. I learned through those mistakes going to that for right now. And going into the outdoor season, I took 6th place, honorable mention all conference for that. And yeah, it was a good turnout. Couple records for the 10K, couple records for the indoor 3K, and lots of good competition, lots of experience that I gained. So coming into junior year, now I'm just working to the motion of things again, and got an honorable mention again for cross country, 16th place. Got to improve on that, especially 15 the first is the all conference. So I'm just on the brink of it. So basically going in there, and then indoor I had pretty good solid 5K, and that's my first 5K of the actual season. So basically, I didn't know what to think. I was nervous, I was anxious, and I ended up hitting a 15:19, which is the second best of all time. So basically, I took 8th place. I scored. I did what I needed to do, and now outdoor, I'm like more hungry. I got the more Saturday. Had a good, intelligent race. Worked patiently. just breathe in, breathe out, pacing myself, and just utilizing all I had for that race.
Didn't he happen to not mention that he won the race? 42 people in the field. That's pretty impressive. And Jovi, talk a little bit, because I know we talked about this. Talk about the strategy that you have to implement outdoor 5K, because it's not just gun goes off and you just run. You have a game plan coming into that race.
Yeah, you just have to prepare yourself mentally and physically. Going to the indoor from outdoor, now you got the temperature, you got the wind, and all that stuff plays a factor. It's like a three-way cycle now. It's like you got to focus on yourself, you got to focus on your competition, what they're doing. If they're slowing down, if they're speeding up, you got to go with the flow. Now, you got the weather. It's too hot, it's too cold. How are you going to prepare for that? How are you going to wear the layers? I always see it as a whole physical and mental game. Physically, you got your workouts, you got your practices, you got everything, your tempo runs, everything to work into the competition. But then mentally, it's a much bigger game with mentally as well as physically, because mentally, you have to concentrate. You got to breathe in, breathe out. You can't get too nervous. You can't get too anxious. You can't get impatient. So it's just working to the motions of what your opponent's doing, what you're doing, and how the weather overall is doing.
So, Jovan, one thing I want to focus on the academic side just a little bit. You're a marketing major with an art minor. I think that's a wonderful complementary major minor to have. So, talk a little bit about that and your impression of St. Mary's. Now that you're a junior, you've been here a good 3 full years now. So, talk about why St. Mary's and what you hope to do in the future with that marketing and art combination.
Well, I love the curriculum of St. Mary's in general. You got the liberal arts pedigree there. So you basically have, a little bit of science, you got a little bit of math, you got a little bit of history. So I like experimenting and figuring out, I didn't know about this, I didn't know about that. So going to marketing and minor in art, I'm learning with advertising, promotions, I'm learning like the design aspects, like, I didn't know about this new tool that I just discovered. So now it's just playing in the factor of, learning how to utilize those tools, learning how to utilize the terms and the aspects and everything you teach. And not only for like a business aspect, but like just overall, just your overall like virtues and, what you trying to learn with like the mission at St. Mary's. So we're all youthful educators. We're getting educated by some of the best staff, many staff know me and know my teammates, and they supported us through and through each and every time.
So Jovan, just about 30 seconds left here. You talked about your cross-country seasons, indoor, outdoor track. Do you have a favorite at all?
Well, okay, I'm starting to like cross-country a little bit more. I always been a track guy since day one. Since I first got on the track, I was like every single year. Cross country, I'll be going into my 5th and last season. So now it's like, I wish I'd done it in high school. I wish I would have had that experience. And it's just a joy to like sweep the vista in the environment while you're just running. It's not just an oval track over and over again. Right. Now it's just, you get to explore the downhills, the uphills. Right. There's so many dynamics that plays a part in cross country. And as for track, that's always been my love. I always, every single race, every single practice, I just put into it, and I just love it all so much.
Good. That's great. So Jovan Newsum, we're glad that you could be on the Cardinals Nest, have everybody get to know you a little bit. Good luck here the rest of the season, and
Thank you.
Going into your senior year next year.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet.
Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, you bet. Stay tuned here to the Cardinals Nest. Our student athlete spotlight will be putting a focus on Cale Pieczynski. That's next here on HBC.
Tune in for the Sports Buzz every Tuesday at 5:30 as a panel of local sports journalists tackle the hottest topics on everything from local high school and collegiate sports to regional discussion about the Twins, Brewers, Vikings, and Packers. With the Power Play Fantasy Football Challenge to the Rant of the Week and NFL Pick'em, the Sports Buzz is fast-paced and sure to entertain. That's new episodes of the Sports Buzz every Tuesday at 5:30 with replays only on HBC TV 25.
Go beyond entertainment with HBC GigaWorld and get the broadband experience. Video chat without buffering. Stream your favorite shows and movies with TV to go. Dominate your online games and more with gigabit internet speeds. Watch over 300 video channels, including high definition, sports, HBO, Cinemax Stars Plus, Encore Showtime, and more. Call friends and family with reliable, crystal clear, unlimited local and domestic long-distance phone service. Experience broadband the way it's meant to be with HBC GigaWorld. Visit hbci.com to get started today.
And we're back here to wrap things up on the Cardinals Nest. And Donnie, I'm really glad we had a chance to get Jovan on the program. Everybody needs to meet Jovan.
Absolutely, a great individual. And I found it interesting at the end of that segment when he talked about running cross country and wishing he could do it more. Being a jogger like you, when he said that he just likes the serenity of just going out and just running, I'm thinking, when do you like to run? and yet, you know, he really does have a passion for it and is extremely talented. I think that the drive is there for an outstanding senior year.
Yeah, and I think raising the game of everybody else too on track and field, and that says something about leadership. Speaking of leadership, one of our baseball players, Cale Pieczynski, recently held a benefit, Strikeout Cancer. That was this past weekend. Here's Ricky Palermo with Cale Pieczynski.
All right, we're here with Cale Pieczynski. Cale's the starting second baseman, been in the 2-hole today for the Cardinals. Now, Cale, today is the Strikeout for Cancer, your strategic campaign event. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so it relates to our team. Our pitching coach, TJ Oaks, his dad is a member of the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. He also is a couple-year battler of leukemia, so it affects our team in that way. And what it does is I got players on our team to collect pledges from people they know, and it's just like $1 or $2 per strikeout. So however many strikeouts our pitchers get today is how much money people end up donating. Right now we're at $170.75 per strikeout, which is pretty good. And we also have a donation table. One of my friends is working that on during the game here. And it's cash, check, credit card donations, as well as they're going to be, if you donate, you're going to be entered in to win some merchandise. So it's kind of just something fun we're going to do. And got some players wearing orange bracelets here.
Yeah, let's see those.
Orange bracelets, and on the helmets, there's some stickers for the orange ribbon, which is the color of leukemia. So yeah, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, it should be a fun time. We'll be naming off the names of the people who donated. They got to write down a name of somebody that has been affected by cancer. So it should be a nice event here. You expect a big turnout, Cale?
Yeah, with the Jogging for Jack 5K on cancer, as well as softball playing over there, I think it'll be a pretty good turnout. We have a decent day for it too, so yeah. Hopefully we get a decent turnout here.
So what was like the whole premise behind doing Strikeout for Cancer?
Well, for class, we needed to coordinate an event, and I was talking to one of my professors, and he mentioned that a baseball player in the past did something similar to this. And then I thought, oh yeah, it's TJ's dad, the LLS, the Leukemia Lymphoma Society, is tied to that. So I was like, oh, that'd be perfect. So that's kind of where I got the idea from. I talked to TJ and I talked to Professor Beckman, and they said it would be perfect. So
yeah, and Todd Oaks, TJ's dad, was very gracious in helping. He donated some Strikeout Cancer T-shirts to the program, and we also made a nice video for him as well. So.
I pledge. The St. Mary's baseball team pledges to promote awareness and provide support for victims of leukemia, lymphoma, and other types of cancer. Together, we can all make a difference. Never give up. No one fights alone.
Join us April 9th for our doubleheader against St. John's University to help strike out cancer.
Please join Cardinal Baseball as we help strike out cancer in support of those currently battling cancer and those who will battle cancer in the future. All proceeds will go to the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society and directly be used for cancer research, finding cures, and helping more cancer patients hear the word remission. To hear more about why this issue is so important to us, please visit strikeoutcancermn.org. Thank you for your support.
All right, Cale, we earned the series split against the Johnnies, but how did we do in our strikeouts for cancer?
we actually did really well.